There are women in this world who don't care for your money, your body, or your time. What they crave is your essence, that invisible fire that makes you feel alive. You'll cross paths with them in coffee shops, on dating apps, at work, in church, even in places that seem wholesome. You'll think, she's beautiful, she's gentle, she's deep. But what you're really seeing is an emotional black hole disguised as an angel. She doesn't come to love you. She comes to feed. You will know you've met one when you cannot stop thinking about her even after she is gone. Not because you're in love, but because she's embedded herself in your nervous system. She knows exactly what to say to make you feel seen, and when to vanish just long enough to make you doubt yourself. She'll pull you in with empathy and curiosity, then slowly drain you with her chaos, her drama, her endless emotional hunger. These women aren't always cruel. Many don't even realize what they are. But the outcome is always the same. They consume you until nothing remains. Most men don't understand how energy exchange works. Every interaction is a transaction. Words, looks, touches, all are currency. And some women have mastered the art of emotional economics. They know how to draw the maximum investment while giving nothing of real value in return. They'll talk about trauma, pain, spiritual journeys, toxic exes, and you'll feel this deep urge to comfort them. You'll think you're helping, but really you're opening your veins. They appear in many forms. There's the broken poet, the one who says she's too damaged to love. You'll believe you can heal her, that you'll prove love still exists. But she'll only use your affection as evidence that men still fall for her sadness. Then there's the hyper-spiritual woman. All crystals, healing, and high vibrations. But she's addicted to emotional highs and lows. She'll talk about energy alignment while her chaos devours yours. And then comes the professional victim. The one who seems cursed by life, always struggling, always misunderstood, always needing someone to believe in her one more time. When you meet her, your instincts will whisper warnings your mind can't explain. You'll feel it in your chest. That tightness, that unease, that strange blend of guilt and attraction. That's not love. That's your soul recognizing a predator in disguise. Because these women don't feed on happiness. They feed on conflict, sympathy, attention, and guilt. And they need emotional stimulation the way addicts need a fix. And once you start supplying it, they'll never let you rest. You'll see it in the small things, the micro dramas, the texts that begin with, "We need to talk," the sighs filled with unspoken blame, the silences that punish you for crimes you never committed. You'll apologize for things that aren't your fault. You'll spend hours trying to solve problems that don't exist. And the more peace you offer, the more chaos she creates. Because peace starves her. It makes her anxious. She only feels alive when you're unsteady, doubting yourself, and fighting to earn her approval again. I once met a woman like this. She told me she admired my calm energy, said it made her feel safe. I took that as a compliment. What I didn't realize was that she planned to feed on it. Every day became a test. How much chaos could she inject before I snapped? When I was calm, she'd provoke. When I pulled away, she'd cry. When I showed empathy, she'd turn it into guilt. It took me months to understand. She didn't want safety. She wanted control. And control is every emotional vampire's favorite meal. Men, let me be clear. These women aren't just toxic. They're trained by life to sense your empathy the way wolves smell blood. They know the kind of man who can bear to see someone in pain, the kind who wants to fix, to protect, to heal. And they'll play that role. Fragile, misunderstood, needing to be saved, until you're too invested to walk away. Then they'll drain you of every drop of joy and call it love. That's why some of the kindest men end up the most broken, because their compassion becomes their cage. You think she needs you, but what she really needs is your energy, and she'll keep taking it until you're too empty to recognize yourself. You'll wake up one morning beside her feeling like a stranger in your own skin. You'll look in the mirror and realize somewhere along the way you stopped being a man and became a power source for her emotional survival. That is the first lesson about these women. They don't want love. They want life. Your spark, your drive, your attention. And the more you give, the weaker you become. Not because you aren't enough, but because she was never meant to receive. Her cup has no bottom. Her affection has no depth. Her gratitude has no memory. When a woman like that enters your life, she won't destroy you with hate. She'll destroy you with need. She'll make you feel essential, then drain you under the name of love. She'll call it connection. She'll call it intimacy. She'll call it us. But it's always been about her, about feeding the hollow space inside that no man can fill. And if you don't recognize that pattern early, you'll spend years mistaking depletion for devotion. The women men should never talk to are the ones who make everything feel heavier. You start a conversation feeling fine, and by the end, it's as if someone dimmed the light inside you. These are the women who never talk to understand. They talk to extract. Every word you say becomes material for their emotional theater. You'll notice it early if you pay attention. The conversation always circles back to them, their pain, their past, their needs. And if you dare talk about yourself, they'll twist it, either to compare your story to theirs or to make you feel guilty for having it easier. At first, they're intoxicating. You feel seen, understood. They ask deep questions. They listen intensely. But they're not listening. They're studying. They're recollecting emotional data, learning which buttons to press to get the reaction they want. Sympathy, guilt, admiration, submission. It's not a conversation. It's reconnaissance. And once they have your map, they'll know exactly how to control you. You'll try to reason with them. Thinking logic can solve emotional manipulation. It never can. Because these women don't operate in truth. They operate in energy. You can't reason with someone who feeds on confusion. They'll say something cruel, then cry when you call them out. They'll provoke your anger, then play the victim when you react. They'll twist timelines, rewrite memories, and make you question your own reality. You'll start apologizing just to stop the chaos. That's when they know they own you. And once you're hooked, they'll feed without shame. Every interaction becomes an extraction. Your laughter becomes theirs. Your strength becomes theirs. Even your silence becomes a stage for their drama. You'll try to explain your exhaustion, but she'll tell you you're the problem, that you're emotionally unavailable, that you don't communicate, that you're not trying hard enough. And for a while, you'll believe her, because her conviction is terrifyingly convincing. But deep down, your soul knows the truth. You're not failing her. She's draining you. There's another type, the one who hides her vampirism behind intelligence and wit, the clever cynic. She's charming, sharp, magnetic, until you realize her humor always cuts. She feeds on belittlement, on subtle jabs disguised as jokes. She'll mock your beliefs, your dreams, your purpose, then laugh it off as teasing. But those small cuts add up. She doesn't feed on sympathy like the victim does. She feeds on dominance. Every laugh at your expense is a sip of power, and the more you tolerate it, the more she drinks. Then there's the soft-voiced manipulator, the one who looks harmless, speaks gently, and always acts wounded when confronted. She's mastered emotional aikido. You raise your voice, she cries. You go quiet. She accuses you of neglect. Every move you make becomes proof of your cruelty, and the more you try to explain, the deeper you sink into her illusion. She doesn't need to argue loudly. She controls with quiet guilt. You'll see these women everywhere, in workplaces, social circles, even among friends. Some don't want your love. They want your attention. Others don't want your friendship. They want your energy. A simple conversation becomes a transaction. You walk away drained while she walks away glowing. You'll notice the pattern. She thrives while you wither. That's not chemistry. That's consumption. And the worst part? She'll make you complicit in your own exhaustion. You'll defend her. You'll excuse her. You'll rationalize her moods. You'll convince yourself she's just hurting, just misunderstood. You'll become her advocate, even as she drains you. Because the energy vampire's greatest trick is making you believe her pain is your responsibility. Men, this is why you must never ignore the first signs of unease. That subtle tension in your chest when she speaks, that fog in your mind after she leaves, that voice in your gut whispering something's off. That's not anxiety. That's your intuition trying to save your life. Stop silencing it. A man who doesn't trust his instincts becomes easy prey. You start doubting your own boundaries, explaining your worth to someone who was never listening. You think patience makes you strong. But with these women, patience makes you prey. You cannot fix emptiness. You can't reason with chaos. You can only walk away before it consumes you. And here's what most men refuse to accept. These women don't crave your anger. They crave your attention. Whether you love them or hate them, it's all food. Indifference is what starves them. That's why walking away quietly wounds them more than any confrontation ever could. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just withdraw your energy. It's the only language they understand. You'll notice something the moment you stop feeding them attention. They panic. The silence burns. The peace suffocates. So they'll test your boundaries to see if they still own your energy. A "hey stranger" text after weeks of chaos, a sudden scripted apology, or a story about how they've changed, hoping your empathy will reopen the door. But remember this, when a vampire comes knocking again, she's not sorry. She's starving. She's not looking for closure. She's looking for food. They'll weaponize your memories. The good moments, the laughter, the intimacy, those become bait. "Remember how good we were?" she'll say, as if nostalgia can erase the pain. And for a second, it might work. Because every man who's ever loved deeply knows the ache of wanting to believe in redemption. But understand this. Vampires don't change through love. They change through starvation. They evolve only when there's no one left to drain. Until then, they'll return again and again, dressed in sincerity, using your compassion as a leash. Some of them are frighteningly intelligent. They'll talk about healing, boundaries, and self-awareness. They'll sound like they've read every book on psychology and spirituality. But don't be fooled. They've just learned new language to disguise old behavior. They'll quote therapy while violating your peace. They'll say, "I'm working on myself," while secretly plotting how to get you to respond. These are the most dangerous ones, the vampires who've studied empathy. They can mimic growth, but they've never felt it. They know the words, but not the music. You'll find them in social movements, wellness circles, and spiritual spaces where everyone preaches healing, but no one practices it. They'll talk about vibration and energy, but what they really mean is feed me. They're not grounded. They're refloating, disconnected from themselves, and they'll use your light just to feel real. When your light runs out, they'll leave, calling you negative for no longer being their sun. Understand this, brother. Not every woman who looks lost deserves to be found by you. Not every tear means she's a victim. Not every wound is yours to heal. Some women wear brokenness like armor. They trade their pain for affection, attention, and control. They don't seek solutions. They seek supply. The moment you fix one problem, they invent another. Because the chaos isn't a phase. It's the ecosystem they survive in. You'll see it in her eyes when you start to pull away. The warmth fades. Something cold replaces it. The mask cracks, and beneath it, you see not a monster, but a void. A deep, endless void terrified of being alone with itself. That's why she clings to your light. She doesn't hate you. She simply can't live without the energy she takes from you. I've seen men crumble under these women. Men who once had ambition, purpose, humor, reduced to shells who flinch at the sound of a message. Men who once led, now follow. Men who once created, Now apologize for existing. They lose weight. They lose focus. They lose friends. Their world shrinks around her moods. Every decision filtered through, will this upset her? Until they forget what peace feels like. If you've been there, you know how quiet destruction sounds. It's not shouting or violence. It's the slow erosion of your spirit. It's losing the ability to rest even when you're alone. It's hearing her voice in your head long after she's gone, criticizing, doubting, demanding. That's the mark of a vampire, not the bite, but the wound that never heals. You can always recognize a man who's been drained. He walks differently. He laughs less. His eyes look older than his years. He's learned the hard way that not all beauty is benevolent, that some smiles hide hunger. Not every "I love you" means love. Sometimes it means, "I need to feed." But if you're hearing this, it means there's still life in you, still light. And it's time to protect it, because your life depends on it. You can recover, but only when you stop believing your empathy is a cure for her emptiness. You are not her savior. You are not her therapist. You are a man, and your peace is sacred ground. Guard it. Every time you stay silent instead of explaining, you starve the vampire. Every time you walk away instead of engaging, you reclaim your soul. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you remind her, and yourself, that your energy belongs to you. And when you finally stop being her food, she vanishes. Because she can't feed on self-respect. It burns her. When you walk away from a woman like that, it doesn't end quietly. She doesn't let go, she collapses, then resurrects as a storm. She'll swing between tears and rage, apologies and accusations. One day, you're the only man who ever understood her. The next, you're the villain who ruined her life. Don't fall for it. That's not love returning. That's withdrawal. Vampires don't mourn you. They mourn their food supply. Like a drowning person clinging to anything that floats, she clings to your energy to feel alive again. She'll rewrite the story. Tell people how you changed, how you abandoned her, how she did everything right. It's survival. Vampires can't process accountability. It burns them like sunlight. So they twist the truth, casting themselves as the selfless giver betrayed by your coldness. You'll be tempted to defend yourself, to explain, to prove. Don't. Truth means nothing to someone who lives on emotion. She doesn't care who's right, only who's reacting. Every explanation is another meal. You'll think of her long after she's gone. Not because you love her, but because she left fingerprints on your soul. Her laughter will echo in your mind. Her voice will linger in the quiet, and you'll feel that mix of nostalgia and nausea. That's not love. That's residue. The energetic aftertaste of being consumed. It fades only when you refuse to feed it, with thought, contact, or curiosity. Because what you focus on, you feed. That's the rule. The first stage of recovery is brutal. You'll feel empty, restless, lonely. You'll miss the chaos because it felt familiar. Because she made you feel needed. But remember, addiction doesn't feel like peace. It feels like withdrawal. You're not missing her. You're detoxing from her. And every day you stay no contact, the poison weakens. You'll sleep again. You'll laugh again. You'll remember who you were before you became someone's emotional battery. That's the tragedy of men who love women like this. They don't realize their kindness is what makes them vulnerable. You weren't weak for loving her. You were strong enough to give deeply, but you gave without boundaries. And that's how she found her way in. She taught you the most painful truth. Not everyone who craves your light deserves it. Some only want to bask in it until they were warm again, then leave you in the dark. Once you awaken, you'll start seeing the pattern everywhere. The coworker who thrives on drama. The friend who only calls when her life collapses. The ex who checks in just to confirm she still can. You'll spot it. Conversations that feel like therapy, relationships that feel like rescue missions, connections that feel like contracts you never agreed to. It's all vampirism, emotional, subtle, relentless. And the only cure is distance. Not punishment, not confrontation. Distance. Quiet, steady, protective distance. You don't owe explanations to those who drain you. You don't need closure with those who thrive on confusion. You don't need to prove your kindness by staying connected to people who make you smaller. Walking away isn't cruelty. It's preservation. Some men stay because they mistake suffering for love. They think intensity equals connection. But that's not love. That's trauma bonding. That's your nervous system mistaking adrenaline for affection. A healthy woman will never make you question your sanity. She won't demand your peace as proof of devotion. She won't weaponize your empathy. She won't punish your calm. A healthy woman adds warmth, not weight. I once met a man who said, "She took everything, my friends, my confidence, my laughter." Then he added, "But she taught me what peace really costs." He wasn't bitter anymore. He didn't ask why she did it. Because once you understand that vampire women operate from emptiness, you stop needing explanations. You focus on protection instead. That's where strength begins. Not in revenge, not in proving your worth, but in valuing your energy enough to guard it. And that's the final stage of recovery. When you no longer hate her. When you see her not as evil, but as empty. When you can look back without rage because you've reclaimed the light she tried to steal. That's freedom. Not because she's gone, but because she can't reach you anymore. Freedom from these women doesn't come with ceremony. It comes quietly. One morning, you wake up and realize you didn't think of her yesterday. The ghosts stop whispering. The air feels lighter. You notice sunlight again. Your laughter returns. Silence feels like rest instead of punishment. That's when healing begins. You're not numb, you're clean. And in that quiet, a new awareness grows. You start realizing how precious your attention is, how it fuels everything, your creativity, your peace, your focus. You start guarding it like gold. You stop giving it to people who only take. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop walking into emotional fire expecting warmth. You start seeing clearly the difference between women who shine and women who steal light. The women men should never talk to aren't always obvious. Sometimes they wear kindness like perfume, charm like armor, beauty like camouflage. But look deeper, not at how she looks, but at how she makes you feel. After being with her, do you feel calm or dizzy, lifted or drained, inspired or guilty? That's the test. Energy doesn't lie. If every conversation feels like work, if every interaction leaves you weaker, it does not matter how good she looks or how tragic her story sounds. She's feeding, and you're the meal. Men who learn this truth stop chasing validation. They stop confusing intensity with love. They stop playing hero in stories meant to trap them. Instead, they cultivate stillness. They walk away early, not from arrogance, but from wisdom. They understand that peace is power, and the right woman will never make them question it. She'll match it, respect it, add to it. She'll generate her own light and share it, not steal yours to survive. And when you meet that kind of woman, you'll know instantly. There's no chaos, no guilt, no games. Just ease, just flow. She doesn't need to be the center of attention because she already feels whole. She'll listen without feeding on your pain, love without controlling, care without consuming. Her energy will feel like sunlight, not fire. That's the woman worth knowing. The woman who multiplies your light instead of dimming it. But you'll only recognize her after you've faced the vampires. They teach you what real love isn't. They strip you down until you learn the truth, that love without peace is poison, and beauty without depth is hunger. Once you've survived one, you become immune to their spell. You walk with quiet confidence, and your light changes frequency. The wrong women can't reach you. The right ones recognize you instantly. Because the goal isn't to hate or fear women, it's to discern, to protect your light without bitterness, to give from abundance, not depletion. A man who guards his energy becomes magnetic. He stops chasing, he stops explaining, he simply is. And that calm power, that silent certainty, draws the right kind of feminine energy, the kind that builds, not breaks. So, brothers, stop feeding the vampires. Stop explaining your worth to those who see you only as a source. Protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Walk away at the first sign of emotional hunger disguised as love. Choose women who bring their own light, and remember, your empathy is sacred, your attention is fuel, and your energy is life itself. When you learn to guard it, you'll see the truth. The world isn't full of monsters. It is full of hungry souls. But you are not their meal. You are the fire they could never create. Keep your light. Keep your peace. And watch how everything changes around you. If this message gave you strength, share it with another man who needs to hear it. Someone out there is being drained right now and doesn't even know why. Help him wake up. Help him reclaim his energy. And if you want more truths like this, subscribe, share, and support the channel through the link below. The light we protect today becomes the strength of tomorrow. Choose wisely, brothers. Your soul was never meant to be consumed.